We're live.
The New York Mets are ruining my life. They're ruining my life. They're ruining your life. They're ruining everybody's life that they touch right now because they are losing in the absolute worst fashion. I would rather go out there and just get absolutely obliterated every night. Cookie Carrasco, you're ruining my life. Max Scherzer, you're ruining my life. Justin Verlander, you have just come in from the clouds and ruined my life. You were never a part of my life. You were from a distance. You were beating the Yankees with the Tigers. You were this amazing pitcher for the Astros that we watched beat the Yankees everywhere, and I loved you, and I never even thought about you being in my life, and now you come into my life, and you're ruining my life. Buck Showalter, you're ruining my life. Everybody's ruining my life except for Francisco Alvarez. You're the only person who's not ruining my life. The dude who hit Pete Alonso in the hand of the ball, you're ruining my life. These people don't understand, because you know what? All these guys, they hang their head for like 1 minute, and then they just go back to their life. And like, yeah, I know they don't want to lose, and they're trying to win, but they're just like, whatever, work sucked today. That's what it is for them. And they just go back home, and they're like, we'll try again tomorrow. And it's us who are left having a mental psyche break. We're the ones who are left to pick up the pieces. Well, they're just like, I'm in a little bit of a slump. Or like, hey, Father Time catches up with me. I'm, 53 years old, so I can't pitch anymore. Of course you can't pitch anymore. Why do we think he was going to be able to pitch anymore? He's 43 years old. And then we are the ones who have to bear the brunt of it. It's insane. It's not healthy. It's not normal. And I don't know what to do about it. And I'm going to turn to my sponsor, Clem, because the only thing I could potentially think about this series, I think this series, if I wasn't doing this podcast, if I'm being honest in my heart of hearts, it would have been a full-blown console last night. The only thing I can think of is that this offense did put up 1 billion runs on the Braves, and did continue to fucking mash, and did continue to put up. And if they just had one starting pitcher who could go like 4 innings, 3 runs, that's all I'm asking, we would probably have swept the series. And I look at Francisco Alvarez, and I look at Beatty, and everyone blaming Buck, like, play the kids. Like, dude, he's playing 2 of the 3 kids. Vientos is not going to save the fucking world. Yes, he should be in there. Yes, Vogelback should be gone. Yes, all of these things suck. But at the end of the day, Beatty and Alvarez are playing, so just shut the fuck up. The only thing I can think is that if somehow these guys do – I mean, there's nobody who can pitch. But if somehow these guys put together just mediocre pitching, the fact that we're even close to 500 is almost the greatest Houdini act in the history of sports. This team should have like 10 wins. So the only thing I can think is we somehow stolen an extra 20 wins, so maybe that'll save us somehow. 2, if we can get even a smidge of pitching, maybe we can sneak into the wild card. And D, Clem, you were at the dozen last night. It was live, right? So we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Condolences. Tough loss. I was screaming, "Just shoot me!" at the top of my lungs. I wanted to call you and tell you that so bad.
Was that because of the Mets or because of the answer?
And so I don't know if you probably weren't watching, every inning of the monstrosity last night. So maybe I'm a little too deep into it. So I'm going to turn to you to ask if you can pull me out of it, or are you just jumping off the cliff right alongside me?
The New York Mets are thieves of joy. They take the happiness in my life, whatever bits and pieces are around at every night around, I wouldn't even say 7:20. Sometimes it's 7:20, 7:10. Sometimes it's 8 o'clock. Lately, it's been like 9:30. And it's like a magnet, and it just sucks all that joy up and just removes it from my body. And then the next day, I somehow churn up a little more. They come in, they suck that joy out, and we just keep the fucking cycle moving. Like you said, I was at the dozen last night, and it kind of is a mirror image of what was going on with the Mets and my dozen team. And listen, dozen spoilers. If you could come back in 5 minutes, we're going to talk dozen spoilers for a live show. We were up like 5-2 or something early, And someone in the front row goes, yo, Clem, the Mets are up 9-6 in the 6th inning. And I'm like,
Bad omen.
Verlander Strider went 9-6 was already. I was like, what the fuck just happened in the game? And again, like, we blew it. The Mets blew it. Everyone fucking blew it. And I'm following it through Gamecast. And as soon as I saw it said 10-7, I said, oh boy, here we go. Then 10-9. And that 10-9, I was like, seen this movie before. And I felt like Kyle looks right now, just hands on head, fucking, kissing my ass goodbye. And they are thieves of joy right now. And this series, I would love to go back to the previous pod where, like, this series can go very bad. We're like, if Cookie wins game 1 and then we believe in one of the horses getting one in the next 2 games, we're going to be in a great spot. But this series can go basically horrendous. And I think I'm like really debating what's worse, having the leads and blowing them. Cause like, that's the most painful for us. But at the same point, like, if they were never in the games, I'd feel like
that's the only thing that is keeping me alive. Like, if we just went out and got our dick smashed in, it would be like, this team
is an amazing team.
Is outclassed. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Braves are absolutely proved they are, and there was no doubt coming into it. But if there was some delusional asshole out there, they proved they are far and away the better team, the class of the league, all that bullshit. But if they just smashed us, if they put up 30 runs in this series and we put up 2, and it was just like, yeah, you guys suck. That would be one thing. You put up, I mean, it was funny. It was like, let's say if the Mets and Braves played a 100-game series, like the first game was like, what, 6-4, and the next one was like 8-6, and then this one was 11-10. It was just going to keep going. No matter how many runs we scored.
We'd have a worse record than the A's if we played the Braves for 162 games.
We would just keep. They would just keep scoring more runs. It would be like, growing exponentially. Eventually down the road, we would score 150 runs and they would score 175. It just, no matter what we threw at them, they were going to hit it because we have a atrocious pitching staff, a garbage starting pitching, a garbage bullpen. It's just not, but you're right. Like, so as a fan, there's nothing worse than these 3 games. Look at the win probability. All 3 games, all 3 games, 2 of them with Cy Young, Hall of Fame winning pitchers on the mound, you would think you get, 4, 6, and 10 runs in the series, add that all up, 20 runs in the series. You would think that's enough, and it's just not. And so as a fan, it's the worst thing you can feel, but as just trying to be unbiased here, there is some positives to take away. Francisco Alvarez is continuing to get better. This lineup, I mean, Pete being out for an extended time is kind of the icing on the cake here, which is going to be a real problem when the home run leader in the league, the one power source you have alongside Francisco is out for an extended period of time. You're probably fucked anyway. But, like, some of these guys are starting to come around. It's just that their pitching won't give them a single ounce of help. But is it enough to, like, the season is so long and moves can be made, I guess, and maybe these guys can find their stride. Is it enough to be like, they'll match the offense at some point? I don't know.
It felt like a mirage. It was an illusion the entire time. We were running towards the horizon and it just kept getting further and further and further away. Yeah. And Big T, I hate to give him the credit, but he's like, at no point did I think any of these games the Braves were losing. Like, they could have been down by 8, and I still would have thought the Mets will find a way to fuck this up. And honestly, I feel like that's how the entire fan base felt all series long. Yep. You can lie to yourself.
It's never a comfortable moment.
That you thought it was going to go a different way. Like, Nimmo hit that grand slam. I'm physically screaming because I'm so happy that they finally came over the top because I hate Strider. And even then, in the back of your head, all last season, everyone was like, oh, we're still waiting for that other shoe to drop, and it never did until finally the wild card. This season, it's the complete opposite. At no point when they're winning a game.
At no point, he's turning into Danny Boy Kane right now.
At no point did I think, at any point, the Mets had a shot to win any of these games at any point.
Because that's when that we're back to dark days where no lead is enough, no runs are enough, no insurance runs. I mean, they gave up runs in every single goddamn inning.
7 of the 10. Last night felt like a genuine NBA game where you were just like, oh, you're scoring this, and Curry comes down the court, bangs a 3 in your face. It's like, cool, you dunked it. Oh, back again with a 3. Like, fuck.
No lead was safe. Meek, I saw you going through it, man. I feel like
I changed my Abby, and here's the kicker. I've been trying to change my Abby to that for weeks, and it did it on its own last night. I didn't change that. Oh, my
God.
So Elon did it for me.
I feel like I'm watching Ghosts of Christmas Past, where I watch like a Mets fan like go through all the emotions and like come into you're reaching your final form as a Mets fan, Phil, where you're just it empties you. You're just bleak and barren on the inside. I'm just trying though, like, because sometimes when you're in it, like in the past, there's been times where I've missed like a couple big ones, and I'm like since I didn't go through that hell, I'm like, guys, I know it was bad, but look at the silver lining. You know, we put up 10 runs. If it was only for one little thing here, we would have won that game. And so I'm like, am I too deep in it right now? Am I too emotional? Because more often than not, the fans are too emotional, and the players are the ones who are like, relax, it'll be fine. But at this point, it's like I don't know if we can say that anymore. But I don't know. I mean, like,
I'll tell you,
it's good to be said for going out there and smashing Strider and scoring runs.
Without Pete in the lineup the last 2 nights. 15 runs the last 2 nights without Pete in the lineup.
If you told me the Mets were going to score 15 runs the final 2 games of the
I'd probably still say they'd lose, but still.
Yeah, but I would have said, like, holy shit. Like, oh, my God. Not just, like, good. Oh, my God, because we've seen this offense be so, quote-unquote, feeble at times. And that's not the problem here. The problem is not even that we're not getting good pitching. The problem is that we're getting – we would survive with bad pitching.
If we were 20th in the league in ERA, we're probably – yeah.
Not even – if we were just bad pitching, we would be above 500. We are atrocious pitching. No pitching. And I know the bullpen is taxed, and I know bullpens are throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. But God, I'm just so sick of like Dominic Leone and fucking these names, and I'm just like, who are these guys that we just pull off the shelves of the grocery store? It's like, ugh. And I'm not thrilled by any means with him. I know some of his quotes are like traditional, like bullshit a manager spews after a loss, but these people are blaming Buck like when Tommy Pham is your second best power hitter, you're gonna have problems, Yeah. And fuck everybody who's still part of the fam over here. Everybody bashing that dude for no reason. When
you have people like, oh, I can't believe he let Max Scherzer still pitch into the 6th inning. Like, yeah, he's Max fucking Scherzer.
Max Scherzer, dude. Like that. Yeah, I mean, Max gave up what, like 4 that inning, 5 that inning, whatever it was.
Whatever it was.
It was a complete and total implosion from a guy who is a Hall of Fame pitcher of a generation. Yeah, if you're gonna do that, you can't blame the fucking manager. Because you know what? You gotta, as Buck, you have to find spots where you can get one more inning from someone other than your bullpen. And the time to do that is with Max Scherzer when he's having a good game. And if that comes back to bite you, so be it. But if that's one more inning that we've got to push the whole bullpen down, that not only ruins that game, it ruins tomorrow, it ruins the whole week. So he's sitting there going, where can I grab one extra inning with a starter that's not going to completely ruin us? So he knows he's got to pull Cookie in the 3rd inning when he's terrible. But maybe he can get one more out of Max. That's not the time to get on Buck Showalter, you goddamn morons.
Wait, can I just have a question? Do you think after games like this, a manager will purposely say something stupid to try to draw attention away from the players' bad outings?
I've thought that before. Like, let me be the role of a coach in any sport is like X's and O's, but it's also, especially in baseball, be the lightning rod, take the heat, and what better way to do that? Because if you give the media nothing, they go knocking on the lockers, you know, like, all right, I got to get something from this guy. I'm going to poke this dude. If Buck just goes out there and says some dumb shit, they're like, yep, here we go. I got it.
He did say some dumb shit
on other managers. Like, shut up. Like, this is always you very rarely have a manager who's like, you know, we love. I mean, it was Buck last year. It was the first time I ever experienced it. But there's very few franchises that are just like, boom, we've got our manager. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a great baseball mind, and he never does anything wrong. So that's not the problem. Baseball managers are never really the problem. You have a couple instances like the Phillies firing Girardi and taking off here and there, but it's the play on the field. And it's not even the play on the field. It's just the pitching. That's it. It's the play on the mound. It's so bad. It has been so bad, and that's it. That's the only fucking thing going on this year.
I thought it was pretty tone deaf though.
Everything that's happening with the offense, sorry to cut you off, is normal. Like, you're gonna have some injuries, you're gonna have some regression, you're gonna have some slumps, you're gonna have some highs and lows. All the offense is pretty normal, you know. So, like, yes, there are times where it doesn't look great, but other than that, like, that's just how baseball goes. It's just the pitching. It's just the goddamn pitching.
Were there people really upset that he left Max in? Because, I mean,
yes.
Max was pitching.
Totally.
Max, that was one of the best games of the season until it fucking went into a wall. I was like, holy shit. I didn't know this Max was going to show up tonight. And he was there. And then, I mean, the wheels fell the fuck off. But like you said, I mean, especially after we saw what Verlander did the next night, right? That game might have not even made extra innings with the bullpen if they had gotten taxed the night before because they took Max Scherzer out with 3 earned through 5 or whatever it was.
Right.
So
it's like when you stay off of Twitter and you just watch the game yourself and like just take it in. It's and then you watch it and then you just come over and look at what's going on. It's like, are you guys even watching the same fucking thing? What are you talking about?
This is the kind of series where you wish you were at Disney for, or like on vacation.
That's why I was like, I still ask you, Clem, like having a little bit of distance. And I know you were following along and whatnot, but watching it was like, oh, I mean, it was literally torture to give back the lead or at least give back runs you talk about shutdown innings, whatever the exact polar opposite of the euphemism shutdown innings was that it was so brutal. But are you as down? I mean, I said everyone I wait till June 15th. If it was past June 15th, I would have canceled last night. That would have been it. I will go ahead and absolutely easily say cancel the NL East. But did you have enough distance from last night to say, like, hold your horses or no?
I did. And this is why. So I'm going to quote a current big movie out right now. And this may not make a lot of sense for everyone who hasn't seen it. But in Across the Spider-Verse, we learn that there's a thing called canon events in Spider-Man's life that have to happen for Spider-Man to become the Spider-Man he needs to become.
Ooh,
such as a family member dying. Uncle Ben doesn't die. He doesn't become Spider-Man because he's not like, I have to stop this crime that killed my uncle, right?
Give it to me.
Last night was a console event.
Yes, I like this. I'm already in.
I didn't see a pitch of the fucking game. So I'm kind of like, it never happened. The game, it gutted me watching it through Stat Tracker and, the tweets and stuff like that. But there was no way to watch it. Like, we didn't have the package here. We were in the green room for a little bit, and then we were watching the actual dozen. We were, in the arena or the theater. So my console event never happened. And if you watch Across the Spider-Verse, other Spider-Men have console events that don't happen. Now, in that world, they say like the entire world goes down into a fucking like vortex of hell. That's basically what's happening to you guys right now. So I don't really care that I missed it. Like, if my universe just goes and dies, whatever, it is what it is. But I'm like Phil said, when I was in Disney for that Brewers series and I only got to see like bits and pieces other than the first game, I was like, guys, we're looking good. And you guys are like, the fucking season's over, man. And we started 13-7, and we did, the first 20 game Mets feels like a fucking dream right now, doesn't it? Like, I don't even remember that team. Like, so I'm in a much better place than you. I'm in a better place than you guys are because the numbers are still there. And then the thing like we've touched on, but like Pete's just gone now for like at least a week and a half.
To continue with Marvel, he got snapped. Like he was just like poof, gone. Because like a hit by a pitch is like you have a family member who dies in a car accident. It's not like, you
I mean, that almost happened to him realistically 2 years ago.
Poor choice of example. I'm sorry. But like, it's not like he had a lingering injury and we're like, oh, there goes, that's his hamstring again. We know that Pete's going to be out because he has a hamstring problem. It's just everything's going smooth. You're leading the entire league in home runs. You're going to put up 50 this year. It's going to be a hallmark season for you. See you later. And then like you said, Phil, gripping a bat, like maybe he comes back, but he's not going to be the same guy. Then you start to press, then you go in a slump. That it's just.
You'd rather get hit in the head than the hand up, realistically. As stupid as it sounds.
I know. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And it sucks because I think we can safely say the Francisco Alvarez era has fully arrived, and it would have been nice to watch those two mash together. I mean, it's got to be Alvarez every day in the lineup one way or another, DH or catching. And I think, as a manager, when you have guys like Vogelback who are like cheap and can be effective, and you got to give them a chance and got to give guys off days and all that, it's probably hard when you're like, I know that I probably should just play this kid all day, but like we exist in the real world where you have to play certain people and you got to give, all that shit. It might be nice now for Buck to just be like, he can go to Vogelback and be like, bro, come on. Everybody at this point knows, so maybe that will like clear it up a little bit. I know people are freaking out about Vientos. It's like, I also, we saw like what kind of happened early on with Alvarez when you get exposed a little bit too early. Like, you can't just like bank on everything, the opposite of what you want to happen, always being the answer. Because again, the offense is not the problem. Like, you can yell about Vientos not playing, and it's like, but look how many fucking runs we've been putting up. So whatever Buck has been doing with that lineup is working offensively. It's just the pitching. And that's the worst part for fans because you can't scream and yell about, well, pitch this guy instead of this guy. You only have your pitchers. That's it. And they all pitch, and they all suck.
Yep. And here's an ironic stat. Oh, I don't know if that's the right word. The Mets are 2-6 this year when Francisco Alvarez homers. They're 0-2 in his multi-home run games. So
well, that I'm okay. That will eventually change because
you hope it will.
Yeah. Maybe he's the offensive Jacob deGrom. Maybe he's going to go on to mash his career, and every time he hits home runs, the Mets lose.
DeGrom is like the opposite of Pete, where that was something that's the family member that's been sick for a while, and you were just like, one day they're just not going to wake up, and unfortunately, that's what happened. I mean, we didn't touch it on this.
I will admit, as a Mets fan, the way Jake left, we didn't exactly love it. The way the baseball world clowned us, obviously hate that. There was a big, I told you so feeling. Of course, you want to have empathy and sympathy and be nice. But as a baseball fan, as a sports fan, the first feeling was, I told you so. We knew this was going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then when I saw him crying, when I heard he was crying, I was like, whatever. When I saw him crying, I was like, oh my God. I don't know why why he didn't like the city and us and why he left so like on bad terms, because he clearly has like emotion and feels all that. If that side of Jake came out a little more during the end there, I would have gone differently, but that was tough. That was a tough seeing him cry like that.
I think I know why he wanted to leave here, because everything that we're feeling, because we felt these feelings for so goddamn long, he feels 10 times because that was his personal life. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And God knows like what's been mismanaged behind like, I don't think his medical's the mismanaged or anything like that, but just all the fucking dumb dog shit stuff he had to deal with during the Wilpons era. He was probably watching. He's like, dude, we have these 5 fucking young pitchers for cheap. Put some money in the offense and let's cook. And then he's just like, well, I'm fucking out of here. So, and again, like you read those contract numbers, they couldn't insure it. Now he gets like another year for a bunch more money. And like, again, Phil, you said it best. Turns out doctors and people that like no contracts know a little bit more about baseball than just a bunch of fucking monkeys on Twitter yelling at each other.
Yeah, let's give some credit, because between Rocker, Correa and now Jake, like The Mets have made the 3 biggest non-moves of the season in baseball are courtesy of the New York Mets and their doctors and their management and their GM. So how about a little respect after, what did they say? Your apology better be as loud as your disrespect.
Yeah, you should probably trust your health and medical professionals that work their whole lives in these fields.
Right. Now, you mentioned like Jake's, like looking at deGrom through the lens of like his everyday life. I was doing that with Verlander earlier. And like, do you think there's a chance that like when you just look at it, don't look at it through sports, just look at it through a regular everyday life, like I always say, you're 100 years old. Do you think there's like you switch teams, you switch cities, you switch leagues, you're not in your comfort zone, you pushed it to the brink to get back from injury? Do you think there's like like the adrenaline wears off, if you will, the metaphorical and maybe in some cases literal adrenaline wears off, where you did everything you could, like I'm not going out like that, I'm not letting Tommy John ruin my career, I'm gonna come back one more time, I win a ring, I won my Cy Youngs, I won my MVP, I did it all, let me but I'm not ready to retire, like I'll sign another one, and then you realize you're just like you kind of blew your load, because I mean what is going on?
You sign that last one, usually with the New York Mets, right? Like
always,
the first guy that's come here at this point of his career. So that's what kind of hurts about it. Kyle, I mean, what do you think?
He was just so dominant last year that the drop-off seems like improbable. And I've seen some people being like, you know what, not for nothing, and it sucks for Jeremy Hefner because we sucked him off for 3 straight seasons of him being like the pitching savant and everything. Dude should probably be fired at this point. If you're going to let somebody in the staff go to like put everybody on notice and be like, you guys need to like figure it the fuck out. Yeah. He's the top of the list. I mean, that's kind of got to be what it is at this point, right?
But that's like one of those. That's like
it's a symbolic firing.
Yes,
he's going to be the sacrificial guy,
right.
And
because no pitching coach is going to fix Justin Verlander.
He can't go out there and throw it himself, type of thing. But something does need to happen, because going back to what Buck was saying, you have to be completely tone deaf to turn around and say, I'm proud of the way the guys have played. Like,
yeah, that was bad.
Fucking 1962 is the worst baseball team in the history of baseball, with the exception of maybe the A's this season. And this team just did something that they never did. Like, you're up 3 runs in 3 straight games, and then you get your dicks kicked in by basically everyone's white whale of like, some people say the Phillies are like our big rival. The Braves are the rival and have always been the rival in my mind.
It's not a rivalry. They kick our ass. It's literally, I'm not calling it a rival.
It's a rival if you never win. And it's like division after division after division, and we're trying to turn it around, and that's what you do? Something needs to happen.
Yeah. I'll tell you what needs to happen.
Get DFA'd. Somebody needs to get fired for no other reason than to just be like, wake the fuck up, everybody. You just got that guy. That guy just lost his job and his livelihood because you guys are dicking around out here.
I'll tell you what needs to happen. We all need to just go out, go to the bar, get ourselves some Coors Lights, get the fucking bluest mountains we can find, pop them open and drink them, because that's the only way it's going to fucking, like, just need to chill. Just need to chill the fuck out. Cold lager, cold filtered, literally made to chill. These ads are a lot more fun to read when we're not, like, the worst team in the world at the moment. But sometimes you just need to take a little break from life. Little break from something that's supposed to be fun, like the New York Mets. Phil said it the other day. He's like, why can't I get into art, or just anything else? I'm not going to say some of the other things on that list. But sometimes you just need to get out, relax. I got AJ's graduation coming up next week. Just get out and enjoy just life a little bit. They say, hey, you watch the Mets at happy hour. Don't do that. Just don't do that. That's just not going to be good. So pair your plans with an ice cold Coors Light, the beer that's keeping you chill. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. So Kyle, you did bring up this point, and I'm with you on it. And it is, I don't know if it's like sports talk radio caller, but something has to happen. If you want to fire a coach, if you want to DFA someone who's been, the ire of the fans, if you want to, like, I don't know, like make a sacrifice, do whatever the fuck you have to do. Something in the locker room that maybe we don't hear about for like another couple of weeks. And they're like, this is the moment it all changed. Put whoopee cushions under the guy's seats. I don't fucking know. Just figure it the fuck out.
Maybe we
fire an imaginary hitting coach. Oh, wait, they already did that 2 years ago.
Maybe we need, what was the fake report the other day that like Cohen was throwing tables in
Oh,
the
yeah.
locker room or
Also,
something?
you're gonna
Slap
like
someone or something like that.
Maybe
you
we
know
need that.
you're gonna like this. Buck actually said the WBC may have contributed to a couple players' slow starts.
Yeah.
That's actually real, by the way.
That's real now.
I mean, hey, listen, that's a fact, okay? That one's true. That one's true.
By the way, Jacob deGrom, I just looked this up. Career record 84 and 57.
He's not getting to 100 wins. Like,
that is just fucking sad, man. And that's because the a million times where he lost a 1-0, 2-1 game because of the bullpen or the
How
offense.
do you think it is? I think it's probably like legit like 50 more wins, right?
It might be.
I really think it like I bet if you add up all the 1-0 and 2, I bet you 2 runs or less like losses. I bet you it's like 50 more wins. It's crazy.
He went he pitched 204 innings, so it's not like he like didn't pitch a lot. He pitched 204 innings, won the Cy Young almost unanimously, only 1 vote against him, and he was 11-8. Like that's how fucking good. Like you should go, I don't know, like 25-2 in a season, right? And, I mean, his ERA that year was that was a 2.43 year. The year before was when he had a 1.7, which is just fucking ridiculous to say out loud. A 1.7.
I really wanted him. I thought he was going to break the record that year. He had that like one bad start at the end, right? That, like,
right. That's right.
His 2021 was probably like the best season ever until he had the injury that's likely causing Tommy John now.
Right.
1.08 ERA.
So much more sense because we should have known. Sometimes the answer's like right in front of you. Because I remember saying, we got to sign Jake and just roll the dice. And if he's hurt, Cohen just absorbs the money, and that's that. And then looking back, like when you get shut down for the season 2 years in a row, and they don't really say why, like that there's more afoot.
And they're kind of telling the reporters too. It's like, oh, we can't tell you exactly why. You got to play dumb here. Like,
yeah, like at the end of the day, it sounds like they were probably doing Jake a solid by like shutting up, and like he probably doesn't get that contract if they were, open and honest about it. So the fact that he walked off the way he did was kind of like, okay, dude, we probably just secured you another $200 million. So maybe a little tip of the cap on the way out instead, you dick. But
I should have known this was going to go wrong too, because I check into my hotel room here. By the way, the hotel we have, it's the same one. It's called the Hotel Zachary. It's across the street from Wrigley. And last time I was here, you can see into Wrigley. I was watching Rays Cubs last year. You can see it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And there's a book sitting up here. They have some books for the fan, and it's called Story of a Curse, right? And I see the Cubs, but look who it's by.
No, Rich Cohen too. Not even.
My favorite kind of Cohen is a rich Cohen.
I'll tell you what. There's not no such thing as a poor Cohen. Every Cohen I know has got big money.
So that was my console event. That let me know that we were in bad water last night.
If we're doing book club, look what came for me this week.
No.
Oh my God.
Literally came in the mail right before the series.
If we're doing let's flesh out the console event, the console level event. Like if we were a historically winning team, I always say this with Feidelberg, when there is that was weird. As I said his name, a text came in from him. Maybe it's a sign.
Beetlejuice.
And every time something bad happens to your team, big of note, he says in Boston they always say this is going to be in the championship DVD, where we always say this is it. It's all over from here.
The big one, yeah.
So if we were a different franchise, I would say this is a console level event where we're going to now become Spider-Man, and this is our origin story. But we're not that franchise. It's the opposite. This is our villain origin story, where Pete's now going to be out for, let's be honest, it's probably going to end up being the 60-day DL. And or worse, it's gonna be like Lindor playing with that broken hand where everyone hates on him. He hasn't hit a home run in a month. Why he sucks? Blah blah blah. It's like I'm playing with a fucking mangled hand, you dicks. So like, I love the thought. I just don't know. I don't think it ends with the hero winning. You know?
Yeah. I honestly, so I've been trying to spin zone or figure out like how it's going to get better. Because again, the best team in baseball loses 62 games. The worst team in baseball wins 62 games. And I'm like, if this team is it's going to be better than a below 500 team. And it just feels like it has to be, like Kyle said, like one of those stupid things. You make a move, you put a guy in, you fire a guy, and then that's where the juju comes from. And it's like I'm just at like a loss of words of where we go from here.
People saying calling for Buck's job though, like, come on.
Yeah, that's
come on. I mean,
he's year 2 of coming off of 101 wins and winning Manager of the Year, and I know that's like a meaningless title because of like.
No, but last year he pushed every right button. That was not like a figurehead role. Like he had an awesome season last year.
And there's also not like a million other options out there. We haven't had a good manager since fucking Willie Randolph, in my opinion.
Right.
So like,
and
come on.
Also, I say that he pushed all the right buttons. When everyone on your roster is performing, it's easy to push the right buttons. Where you can only start your starting rotation. You can only use the bullpen you have at your disposal. When they all suck, it doesn't matter. Are you really going to get upset that, Nagosic pitched an inning over Dominic Leone? Like, who fucking cares? These guys all stink.
I tweeted it last night. Sorry, Clem. But at Tigers JUK, the one that found the Terry Collins ass in the jackpot video, I told him I absolutely will never forgive him for finding that video because the revisionist history on Terry Collins is still like the dumbest thing. People now are like, oh, play the kids. I miss Terry Collins because he did this and this. It's like Terry Collins played Ty Kelly and Eric Campbell over Michael Conforto. Like, do you guys even remember any of this?
Terry Collins was the worst. Out of all of these guys, I remember banging my head against the wall with Terry Collins because he did have some good guys at his disposal and just never pushed the right button. Always put in the wrong reliever. He was clueless, man. And then, one mic'd up video turns him into some, folk legend. No, that guy was terrible.
He's the longest tenured Mets manager during the longest span of us being fucking terrible. And it was more of like, he was just the guy because they were like, we're not going to pay somebody else to manage these assholes. Like, you can say, I guess, Terry. Like, that's all it is.
He's an old baseball lifer. It's like I respect him as like a baseball guy.
Not a good manager.
That stint was not the one.
Yeah, and like I almost feel like Buck is a little bit like Tom Thibodeau in Knicks fans' eyes, where it's like if the Mets can't get to or past the LCS, you'll be like, all right, we've hit our point. We've hit kind of like the ceiling that this guy usually hits, and we need to find the guy that's going to get us over the top. But I trust Buck and all his years in baseball to be the one to figure out a way to get out of this over just like some interim manager. Like, you know what I mean? Like on the fly, even if you hire someone outside the organization, like I don't think there's anyone's going to come in and be like, this is what Max Scherzer needs to do to not get his fucking dick pounded through his goddamn asshole in the 6th inning tonight by the Braves. And like, Kev, let's be honest. There's two things. If there's a Kunzel event, there's one of two things that's probably going on. One, it's a holiday, or two, we're in Atlanta. Well, we were in Atlanta. So that's it. Like, we're not going to be in Atlanta, at least I think for a little bit. So that's the good thing.
Not till August. I don't think we play them again at all till August. So
that's good. And the Yankees are coming up, which is kind of like in that range. I remember I Kunzeled, I don't even know what year it is at this point, but I remember it was like someone absurd was playing shortstop that night. Did we move a catcher to shortstop, or like Darno was playing?
Darno.
Yes.
Did Darno between second and third base like 15 times?
They 4 different positions against the fucking Yankees.
And I texted Kev, I go, I'm Kunzeling. Like I just saw the lineup, but I'm out. Like I've had enough. So the Yankees coming up without
the Kunzel without a game being played is very funny. Like saw the lineup. Nope.
Like I just know. I've seen this fucking movie.
I said this last podcast. Thank God for the Pirates in between, because we had to roll right into the Yankees. Now that's not to say that the Pirates won't take 2 out of 3, because they probably will. But the mental, like if I had to gear up for a Subway series right now, I don't even know if I'll be able to do it in a couple days either. But I'm as low as I've been in a long time. This was a different type of low than losing last year, because that was just like, wasted opportunity. This is like, this was bad, man. Like when just like everything, I've been sick. I have no internet at my house. No internet now, Clem. It's just gone. The internet's just gone. I had to get up. The Mets ruined my night last night, and they ruined my morning because I woke up and I was like, oh shit, we're recording early. So I had to get out of bed, drive to my mom's house, use her internet, because the internet's just gone. I've got problems with the pool. I've got problems with the fucking air. I can't breathe. Like, a whole bunch of shit going on.
The elements are coming for you, Kevin. Air, water, heart, fire. What else is
exactly?
Captain Planet is butt fucking you.
This is what the Mets do, and I don't know if it's the Mets do it or they find out that my life is like, if the Mets cause it or if the Mets like finish it. But whenever my life starts to go a little bit south and like just the deck stacks up against you and you're kind of like, wow, when it rains, it pours. I got a lot of shit on my plate right now. Things aren't going great. I got to get through it. And then the Mets do this to you. And it's like, fuck. Now, and what's crazy is I'm having real world, real life problems. And the Mets are making me more upset than that. Because, like, the real life shit is like, I'll just get through it. I can figure it out. I can handle it. I have control over that. The Mets, I don't have any control over. So I can't do anything about it. And it's just like, oh, your day went terrible because of your regular life, and then your night's going to go terrible because of your Mets life. And that's how it fucking goes for us.
Your life is on fire right now, and the Mets are showing up. They're in, like, fireman outfits. You're like, dude, we got this. They turn on the hose, and it's gasoline coming out. And then it just turns your house to a 5-alarm blaze, basically.
My life is the air index. Like, it's just at a 500 right now. Just not good.
It's just going to be a video of you walking outside and being like, end it now.
Literally, I'm dying. And every night I'm like, all right, let's just make it worse.
And like, out of all teams, it is like to the Pittsburgh coming up. It's like, if they do lose 2 out of 3, it's like that just hurts in a whole different set of ways than a Braves or a Yankees one, where it's like we're just
the
getting.
Pirates they're like the same record we are, right? I don't think they're as bad as they usually are, right?
They're like 2 or 3 games better.
Yeah, they're like better. I mean, it's almost like who are we to talk shit about it?
They are 32-29, so they are better than us.
Crazy. And
there's no team above 500 in the AL Central right now.
Oh wait, no, Kevin, O'Neal Cruz is out for the year, so we're not. Oh. Well, not the year, till like August.
Whatever. I'm sure somebody will fucking like. I was watching the kid on Cincinnati, LA De La Cruz, like.
Oh.
And I don't want to. We are blessed as well right now. Like, as I will say, the only thing that is at least keeping me somewhat happy is that, like, we have a good chunk of your lineup in 3 guys that, like, are going to be here for years to come or be trade bait for someone who's, like, amazing. So I don't want to, complain too much. But I do think baseball's entering an era of – I think baseball was a little bit behind the other sports in terms of, like, freak athletes playing the game. Basketball very quickly, like Steph Curry really quickly revolutionized basketball to be a whole different game. And guys like Giannis and Jokic are now, like, the sport as we know it are different. Football as well, like quarterbacks turn into like these mobile freaks. And then baseball was always kind of just like, pitchers are like grunt workers and batters are just like, fat guys. And now we're seeing these dudes who look like, I'm like, honestly, you should be a cornerback in the NFL. And for some reason you play baseball. And I just want one of those guys. Like that triple he hit the other day, it was just like a single that like split the gap and like maybe should have been a double for anyone else. And it was almost a stand-up triple. And like the balls he's hitting and the way he's playing, the Reds had their lowest attendance, like I think in the history of their ballpark. And then they called him up and the place was a party. I mean, it was like for one single player, it changed the entire vibe. And, we've got young guys already in the lineup and even guys like Pete who are like, the young guys who are now here and established. So there's plenty of that in New York, but I want one of those unicorn freaks. And I think they're going to be easier to come by. Like, I think these are the first couple, O'Neal Cruz and Ellie De La Cruz, like these guys who are tall and lanky and athletic and fast. But, man, baseball becomes a lot more fun when you have your actual best athletes playing it. Everybody, I think all the best athletes always chose another sport, right? When it came to it, like if you could play basketball or football professionally, you did that. It'd be cool to have some of those guys choose baseball and see more of that in the sport.
Yeah, it'll be sweet. So I wanted to ask you guys this question, and you kind of brought it up in a roundabout way, just because with the young guys playing. I think the Bucks final chapter here, if it really goes south, will be people getting mad again. If Alvarez is just crushing, being like, why the fuck didn't this guy come up in July last year when we were? And I know he got hurt at some point, but it's can we get mad about Alvarez not coming up last year instead of before the last series of the fucking season and putting him up in the biggest spots? Do you think he might have had a couple of hits in a big spot that James McCann went down swinging at? And that was kind of one of my things. And then Ellie De La Cruz, I'm already kind of if this Mets season goes bad, who's a team that I'm going to be I'm rooting for? We're all rooting for the Reds at this point, right? Every single night, I'm I want it. You just love seeing the few Reds fans I follow are just having the time of their fucking lives. And that's nice. When we had that, when we didn't have anything else going on, right? And you have the one prospect come up, just draft guys named Cruz who are athletic freaks. That's
right. That's the message. They went from shitting in the truck to we've got the best player in baseball. So, things can change quickly. I know what you're saying about Alvarez, and I'm sure that'll happen. But it's also, again, a Marvel thing. It's that's not how time travel works.
Yeah.
It's if he came up then, it wouldn't have been. Maybe he wouldn't be good now. Everything needed to unfold for him to now be. I mean, I think he's gonna hit 30 home runs this year.
If he was born a year earlier, we win the World Series last year.
Exactly. That's the better way to put it. If he was just a little bit older and a little bit more, he was so young to call up. If he had just 300 more days under his belt, you're probably right.
He might not even be up right now if Omar Narvaez doesn't go down.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
They would be in the worst possible scenario of all time. That. You think you're living your worst life right now. Omar Narvaez doesn't go down, and we're dealing with a totally different lineup of incompetence.
So true, man. So true.
So I have a good idea for a segment to wrap this all up. I thought of it I'm not going to lie to you guys. I thought of 2 weeks ago. I wrote in my notes, and then we had that sweep against the Phillies. I was don't need this week. So I've been saving this one for
Imagine Clem just pulls out a gun right now.
And this little spin zone, glass half full, optimistic idiot Clem, whatever you want to call me, is brought to you by the Barstool Sportsbook. We got it right here. What's my favorite bet these days to do on the Barstool Sportsbook? If you go to the MLB tab and you go to the live betting and the Mets are up against the Braves, bet the Braves, because I'm sure you'll probably get a little plus number too, because I don't know if the odds makers have caught up to it, and you're probably going to win your bet. I can't say definitely. We definitely cannot. It can lose. It can indeed lose. However, there is a chance you can win. So that's kind of the best bet in basketball or in baseball right now. I also love betting. I love betting my guy Jokic. I love seeing the fucking Heat lose here. So
just bet a triple-double every night for Jokic because he's going to. He's insane, dude.
He put up a 30-20-10 or whatever the other day, and I was I didn't even bat an eyelash. I was oh yeah, that's Jokic. He does that. It's crazy that he just can do that anytime he wants now.
You hear his quote? They asked him about it. He goes, it's just a stat, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
He is the best. He is exactly what every team should dream of. They are blessed to have him.
So download and sign up for the Barstool Sportsbook today. Terms apply. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, boys. I want everyone here. This is kind of like the last dance where you have to write your little thing and put it in the coffee can. I want everyone here to tell me one thing about baseball that you love.
I knew you
were involved the New York Mets.
No.
I will start.
No.
Okay. Last week, I downloaded the new Max app, right? Because Succession, I had to get the new Max app, and I'm just browsing around. And AJ has become a fan randomly of the song Black Betty, which is kind of scary that my 5-year-old loves the song Black Betty already.
Yeah.
And I was what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch Eastbound and Down again. So I watched the first episode of Eastbound and Down. I'm telling you guys, if you don't fall back in love with baseball after watching or at least just Kenny Powers, that is maybe the greatest episode of television in the history of television. And, you know, Kev, you were always like the Barstool DVR, Barstool TV guy. I'm known to watch a few shows here and there myself, obviously not just Shoot Me. And holy fuck, that show, like Always Sunny wouldn't have gotten made today if in 2023. There's stuff in that one where I'm like, whoa, they were playing it loose. But it is by far one of the funniest. It's I honestly think the funniest episode of television of all time. And it ends with him leaving the door. He like basically says he's staying. He opens the door. Black Betty's playing, and the janitors look at each other and go, "Where the fuck is he going? It's only first period." And he goes and is riding a jet ski as Black Betty plays with that like topless like crack whore he meets at Shaboom's. I'm telling you guys, like. This is the homework assignment. If you have the Max app, if you can find it, I don't know if it's on YouTube, whatever. Just watch the first episode of Eastbound and Down, and at the very least, it'll make you happier because it's fucking hilarious. So that is what I love about baseball. If no one else has anything, I'll take it on the chin. But that
we'll do it because this is the one thing. You know, I still said, despite blaming the Mets for my entire life, My one thing is Francisco Alvarez. I mean, we heard the name, we knew he was coming. He came up, and it was like we were kind of, you know, it wasn't Ellie De La Cruz, it wasn't Citi Field chanting his name and lights out, and it didn't take long. Don't get me wrong, it was only a matter of months, but he's here, and he's a tank. He's the true Frank the Tank, the real one. Maybe that'll be kind of like a Kunzel event too, like. The real Frank the Tank takes over the fraud Frank the Tank and you know, leads us to the promised land. But watching him, when you're in the dark days of baseball, like what the Reds are doing, they're in the dark days, but they have one bright thing. The Mets are, you know, we're not in any position to be saying that because we should have been contending for a World Series this year, so we can't be playing that game. But at least every time you tune in, hopefully, if Buck has a head on his shoulders, every time you tune in, you'll get to see El Troll. So that's my one thing.
That's fair. Kyle?
No sport will teach you resolve and resiliency and humble you faster than the sport of baseball. It's a life lesson. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Don't sweat the little things because next thing you know, you're 8.5 games back looking up and you wishing you were 2 weeks ago when we thought we had problems. Now we got real problems. So
and Mets baseball. Baseball. There's two different sports. There's baseball and there's Mets baseball.
Yep.
And everything's just heightened on Mets baseball.
Different animal.
And then Phil, as I noticed that the Mets bed is no longer the Mets bed. So
I switched the sheets. I'm not.
No.
One thing I like about baseball is that only one team wins the World Series. So there will be several teams I hate that do not win the World Series.
That's great. You know what? If you got hate in your heart, let it out, let it out, Phil. I see you. I know what you're going through, and just do it. Just go through it. Let it all out and be as dramatically fucking miserable as you possibly can.
At this point, I'm hating teams that aren't even baseball. I'll root against Tennessee football if I have to. Like I'll watch Spencer Rattler highlights on full volume for Tennessee last November.
Cross sport hatred is like a beautiful thing when you really get into it, and I'm like. You start rooting against have the Falcons have something bad happen to them just because a lot of Braves fans are Falcons fans and stuff like that. So that's a good one, Phil. Like get dark, get evil with it. And Phil, like two of your teams are facing each other this weekend, the Pirates and the Mets. Like this is.
What are you gonna do? We're gonna root for you, weirdo. You know what's crazy? Though? Like if the Mets win tonight and the Braves lose, I'll be right back.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna stop you right there. The Braves aren't losing tonight. They're playing the Nationals. You know they're not losing. The
Braves aren't losing again. I think, you know, a couple weeks ago we were like, oh, all right, the Braves have come back down to earth and like it's going to be a normal season. I think the Braves are about to.
The Braves' upcoming schedule is Nats, Rockies, Tigers, I believe, and then the Phillies. So if I'm being completely honest, like the Braves should be up like 13 games.
I was going to say I could see it real quick hitting like, you know, double digits into the teens real fast. They're just so good and they just stay consistent. Like, you know, as much as I'm the Lindor guy, it's also like there's just these off nights and it's so streaky and it's like it's every game, it's every at bat, it's every inning. It's just like every time I look, it's like, oh, 3, 4, 5 is up. But it doesn't matter if it's 6, 7, 8. Doesn't matter if it's 7, 8, 9. It's like everybody, and they can, Acuna can steal bases. They can hit home runs. We beat the shit out of their pitching, and we still couldn't. Whatever. Console the East. It's all about the wild card.
Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.